what's up? It's your boy Cino here. Welcome back to Screen Fiend, where we will go over Morpheus. Morpheus, the movie that has been done for about 3 years. I mean, people have been on to other projects, have done other movies, and not have thought about this movie whatsoever. And finally, the movie gets released. And boy, I see what they were doing. Jeez. Now, because Morpheus is going to be within the Venom world, they're trying to see how they're going to blend in Spider-Man and all of this with Morpheus and Venom and get everybody in the same world. Now, when this happened, this would have made a lot of sense when they first did the movie. But when Doctor Strange does his thing, they do sort of a retake, and it looked like a lot of shots was reshot and a lot of things that was edited out that worked for the film was edited out during the reshoots, and they wanted to make the movie fresh so you didn't know what was going on. They went with the alternative lines of the movie that didn't work. The reason that they were cut in the first place. But they felt like, man, those scenes are pretty old. The movie didn't come out for 2 years after those scenes were shot. So people want to see something fresh. Let's give them something new. So let's use the scenes that we didn't use and we cut out. Let's just put those in instead of the ones we used for the trailer to make it all new and fresh. And you don't do that because there's a reason they were cut in the first place. Because they didn't hit. And the lines you did have actually hit. Now, the issues with Morbius. Morbius is the living vampire, which would tie in very good with Blade, because him and Blade would fight, because he's the Daywalker, and that's who he was supposed to fight in Blade 3. But they went ahead and brought the Dracula element into it. And they made it that he came up with this synthetic that's blue, that's like a blood replacement supplement, and he developed that, and yada yada yada. Right? Now let's get into the actual movie. This thing is all over the place. And the reason it's all over the place is because it's all over the place. It's like this movie was about 2-3 hours, and they said, well, we got to make some cuts. And what they did was cut out anything that had something to do with the actual movie, and that made the movie flow and made it one big action scene. I'm telling you who's going to love this movie. Sean. Sean B. Morbius was great. It was just nothing but action. I don't know what's going on, but it's just action, action, action. A lot of predictability. From the gate. Morbius just continuously is trying to find a cure for his disease from a child You see him very close to this guy who he calls Milo. That's not even his name. He just named him Milo. And they both are battling the same disease that normally takes their lives at a certain point of age. But Morpheus goes to a university, gets his doctorate at 19, and becomes like one of the top medical professionals of all time. Comes up with a synthetic blood that's blue. That was interesting, but they turned it blue basically because the movie's PG-13 and they don't want to get in trouble. So blue blood works better. Now, you got blue blood out of the way because now it works for your PG-13 movie. Now, the red is going to be the key that kicks everything off. Now, if he drinks red blood, then that's when he goes crazy. So he's coming up with a cure. He's got all these bats. He's ready to start human trials. Of course, he tries it on himself. And he turns into the living vampire. And you see that on the internet where he wipes out everybody on the boat. Calls for Mayday. He jumps off the boat. Gets himself to safety. And yada, 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 yada. Then the movie is rushed. From that point on, it is rush, rush, rush. They rush to the point where his buddy comes and sees him at his home. He's been investigated for murder. His buddy's like, "You're walking around pretty good. Let me get a piece of that." No, it's a curse. It's not what you think. I made a mistake. I don't want you to make the same mistake. It's a curse, not a gift. I made a huge mistake. I got to take care of it. It's all on me. So, next thing you know, he puts the guy out. The guy ends up taking a serum. I don't know who shot him up with it, but I guess he shot himself up with it. And he's better than ever. And he starts to change. And he starts freaking out. Now his best friend has got the same thing he got, and they once again another Marvel duo fight. It's like, will Marvel ever break the cycle? You got the Winter Soldier versus Captain America. You have Iron Man versus himself and everyone. Obadiah or Whiplash. You know, he's basically fighting another Iron Man. You got Black Panther versus Killmonger. Both two Black Panthers fighting each other. Marvel love the symbiotic symbols of the same thing. You got the Wasp, or what is it, the Hornet, or whatever his name was, going up against Ant-Man. So they love these mirror matchup fights where they all mirror each other. It, to me, is like effing stupid. But this character had no personality, no nothing, and just immediately goes bad. You know, he just starts off drinking the red. There's no instructions for him. So everybody think Morbius did it instead of him. And now Morbius, who was on the blue, now is taking a sip of the red. And him and his buddy are just fighting in the streets and the alleys, and it's just one big mess. The ending is such colluded mess that when it goes off, you're like, what the F did I just watch? All the action fights are just blurs of CGI. Then it stops in slow mo. You see like one move. And you still don't really know what happened. It's just so much CGI, and then it turns into Batman. I'm like, okay, I'm waiting for the Dark Knight to show up now. What is happening with this movie? It's just so much. It's like everything was lost in editing or something. It was just a mess. Then they have the scene um, with Keaton, and I'm like, oh my god, this is terrible. The end credit. I hope they got better food in this place. And this looked like the Doctor Strange thing, where everybody's transported someplace else. So it's like he's gonna get released from another prison. But I guess they're showing that people got put in different places doing to the Doctor Strange, Spider-Man thing. We don't know how new that scene is because that's different from the ambulance scene we see before with him and Morbius, which is not in the movie. But this movie pacing is terrible. Like it's it's watchable, but you won't care about it after one day. Really, you won't care about Morbius at all. It wouldn't be hard for a sequel to surpass this film. I mean, they cut out every viable point of any type of relevance of the movie. So, yeah, that happened. So, anyway, I'm out. Yeah, I'll give it a star and a half. 1 star and a half. That's it. It's almost at 2 stars. 1 star and a half for Morris. Jesus, this is like an incomplete film. It really is. So, on that note, I'm going to sleep. Good night.